Imagine a place touting over 400 inches of snow annually, with nicely varied terrain, boasting natural hot springs nearby, high-speed lifts, free parking on site, and a great learning progression. Sounds like the absolute dream, right? I am, of course, talking about Wolf Creek, which is my favorite ski resort in the Republic of Texas. Or at least, that's how it seems if you spend a day over the holidays there, as I so foolishly did. So yeah, here we are, a hater's guide to Wolf Creek. Now, in all honesty, what prompted this Wolf Creek Haters Guide was a day so spectacularly crowded that it forced me to confront a truth I'd never thought I'd say out loud. Wolf Creek absolutely, definitively has lift lines. I hit the top of the pass at 8:20. Perfect. Textbook. Feeling smug. And then I didn't park until 9:40, at which point I had experienced all 5 stages of grief and made peace with my own mortality. By 12:30, there were still people renting skis. Not skiing. Renting. Lifts that normally don't even acknowledge your existence were running 15 to 20 minute waits, mostly because half the mountain was engaged in a live-action chairlift loading tutorial. But to truly understand the magnitude of this situation, we need to back it up. So of course, I'd like to start by recognizing the only highway in Colorado that sees more traffic from pickup trucks than old Subarus, Route 160 over Wolf Creek Pass. This section also just so happens to have the highest concentration of cowboy hats in Colorado. So, on a snowy day, the drive plays out about as you'd expect. After the storm clears, it looks like Talladega Nights Amateur Hour Edition. And when it comes to parking at Wolf Creek, just picture the Shibuya crossing, but if cars and pedestrians were going all at once. We already mentioned the line to rent equipment, but when you also factor in the line for lift tickets and the line for the bathrooms, it starts to feel more like the state fair than a ski day. But then, finally, once you've fought through all that madness, you can just relax on the slopes. Right? Let me put it this way. In the terms of well-oiled machines, Wolf Creek runs about as well as the Tin Man when Dorothy first found him. After all, the Texan does not concern himself with RFID. Forget all the signs telling you where to put the card, let's just brute force it, yeah. Everything goes well until the gates deny you like Malcolm Butler at the goal line. This causes, well, this. Wolf Creek always loves to tout their lack of lift lines, which is to the effect of a hunter bragging about a secret spot, then telling you the coordinates. Now, once you finally get onto the lift, good luck getting that restraint bar down. When on holiday, safety comes second, I suppose. On this particular day, I saw Texans skiing in everything but a proper helmet. Beanies, cowboy hats, bike helmets, cat ear headbands, you name it. It was like the Met Gala meta cartoon, except that gravity doesn't care how cute your goggle band is. And Wolf Creek, good on your ski patrol for really setting the example of not wearing a helmet. Guess you want to increase your worth by inducing more injuries? Way to get ahead of the Telski curve. Now, let's talk about the terrain flow, starting with a beginner experience that I can only describe as ambitious. All that comes because Wolf Creek doesn't have one learning area, it has 2, Nova and Tumbler. And of course, Wolf Creek being the genius that they are, those 2 learning hills do not talk to each other. You cannot ski them in conjunction. You cannot progress naturally between them. You must choose, which is a bold design philosophy for people who are, by definition, still figuring out how skis work. Now, the remote Charity Jane lift actually has some really nice green terrain. Wide, consistent, friendly. The only issue is that you cannot access Charity Jane on a green, which makes it less of a beginner run and more of a rumor. So what happens instead is that a lot of first and second day skiers skip the learning areas entirely and head straight to Ravenshire, which, to be clear, is not a learning environment. This is less progression and more trial by fire. Or, given the clientele that day, trial by altitude. And look, I love the confidence. I respect the optimism. But Raven is where fresh goggle tans go to have a very serious conversation about gravity. And those are just the issues with the beginner terrain, which is impressive because Wolf Creek somehow manages to have flow problems at every ability level. There are very few blues at Wolf Creek that qualify as a traditional blue cruiser. Almost every blue fits neatly into one of 4 categories. A nice, freshly groomed blue that is somehow accommodating the entire population of Austin, a flat road so low angle it makes snowshoeing look ambitious, a glade run with more dangerous tree wells than the entire state of Arizona can boast, or a mogul run with more bodies than a morgue, from people who have fallen, not actually been hurt. I hope. The blacks at Wolf Creek might honestly be easier than the blues, since there aren't as many downed snowboarders to dodge, but speaking of downed items, the amount of downed trees in the way of Wolf Creek's single black glades make you wonder if the forest itself is trying to teach you a lesson in humility. And as far as the extreme terrain, Well, Knife Ridge has some cool stuff, but between you and me, Nova and Tumbler might actually have more vertical than it does. And the Horseshoe Bowl Snowcat? Cool in concept, and that's about it. So between all of those on-mountain catastrophes, you'll probably want to stop in for a break at some point. At the base lodges, personal space is nigh but a myth, and God forbid you want to buy some food, you're going to find the longest line of the day. I guess you just had to one-up the security lines at DIA, huh, Wolf Creek? And in the spirit of one-upping, you had to go out and find a way to make getting off the mountain at the end of the day even more miserable than the Breconnect Line extravaganza. Instead, I present to you the San Juan Shuttle Slog. Nestled deep in the mountains of Colorado lies an experience unlike any other. Are you tired of driving all the way to Jackson Hole or Big Sky to experience the tram crowds? Well now, for the all-low price of one twisted knee, you can get that experience without the tram. You want shoulder-to-shoulder travel? We've got it. High tensions in the line and jostling for position? You sure bet. Call now to secure your place next holiday, and we'll even throw in a massive lunch line free of charge. That's right. Call today and get your tram experience with a free lunch line. Side effects may include skiing in jeans, pizzaing down a black, uncontrollable use of the word y'all, and in extreme cases powder skiing on 76 underfoot rentals. Of course, I say all of these things in jest. Sure, if you go on the busiest day of the year, it's going to look like this. But I made a lot of good memories that day as well. So yes, Wolf Creek is a fantastic resort. People still talk about it for a reason. But just remember, if you survive the lifts, the lines, the Texans, and the occasional rogue tree, you've earned your turns, and just maybe a spot in the Great Shuttle Migration Hall of Fame. All my love, I'm out.